Hello and welcome back to Weirdly Forgotten. I'm your host, Ripon. Imagine a church, a house of worship, a place of sanctuary. Now imagine it's purposely built to burn down to the ground every single year. And then, just as deliberately, it's rebuilt from the ashes. It sounds like madness, right? A cycle of endless destruction and reconstruction. But what if I told you this wasn't an act of chaos, but a profound act of faith? Why would a community pour their hearts and souls into something they knew was destined for flames? Today, we are journeying to the heart of a strange and beautiful tradition to uncover the story of the church that burned every year by design. Our story takes us to the windswept landscapes of Scandinavia, a region steeped in ancient lore, where the lines between the old ways and the new have often blurred in fascinating ways. For centuries, long before the first Christian missionaries arrived, these lands were home to vibrant pagan cultures. Their spirituality was deeply connected to the earth, the changing of the seasons, and the inescapable cycles of life, death, and rebirth. The harsh, dark winters gave way to the life-affirming light of summer, and this rhythm wasn't just an astronomical event. It was the central metaphor for existence. Festivals like Midsummer or Midsummer celebrated the peak of the sun's power with enormous bonfires, symbolizing light triumphing over darkness, purification, and the warding off of malevolent spirits. Fire wasn't just destructive, it was cleansing, transformative, a gateway to renewal. When Christianity spread across the Nordic countries, it didn't simply erase these deeply ingrained beliefs. Instead, a fascinating process of syncretism began. The new faith had to find a way to resonate with the local people, to weave itself into the fabric of their worldview. This is where our peculiar church comes into play. In a small, remote community, its exact location often shrouded in local legend to protect its sanctity, a unique tradition took root. They built a church, not from stone and mortar meant to last for eternity, but from wood and straw, materials of the earth, materials meant to return to it. It was a beautiful, intricate structure, a testament to the community's craftsmanship and devotion. But its true purpose wasn't to stand against time. It was to embrace it. Each year, as a specific festival approached, one that merged the pagan reverence for seasonal cycles with Christian themes of resurrection and renewal, the community would gather. This wasn't a somber occasion. There was a sense of anticipation, of sacred purpose in the air. As dusk fell, the church, which had served as their place of worship for the past year, would be set alight. Imagine the scene, a towering inferno against the twilight sky, flames reaching towards the heavens, the heat felt for miles around. To an outsider, it would look like a tragedy, a terrible act of desecration. But for the community, it was the opposite. It was the highest form of devotion. The fire was not an end, it was a transition. It was a spectacular offering, a release. So, what was the deeper meaning behind this seemingly paradoxical ritual? At its core, the annual burning was a powerful, living symbol of renewal. By destroying the old church, the community wasn't rejecting their faith. They were reaffirming it in the most dramatic way possible. The act symbolized the shedding of the old self, the sins and hardships of the past year being consumed by the purifying flames. It was a communal confession, a visual and visceral representation of letting go, making way for a fresh start. The rising smoke carried their prayers, and the crackling fire was a testament to the impermanence of the material world. Their true faith wasn't in the wooden building. It was in the spirit that building represented. The ritual was a masterful blend of two belief systems. From their pagan ancestry, they drew the symbolism of the bonfire, the cleansing power of fire and the celebration of nature's cycles. The sun's return after the long winter was mirrored in the promise of the new church. From their Christian faith, they drew the profound theme of resurrection. Just as Christ died and rose again, their church would die in the fire and be reborn from its ashes. The empty space left behind wasn't a void, it was a promise. It was the tomb from which new life would emerge. the act of rebuilding was just as important as the burning. It was a collective act of hope, a demonstration of their unwavering belief that after every ending there is a new beginning. The morning after the fire, the community would gather once more at the site. The air, thick with the smell of smoke and ash, was not a scent of loss, but of potential. The ashes were considered sacred, a fertilizer for the spirit of the new year. Then, the work would begin anew. Men, women, and children, everyone had a role. They would fell new trees, gather fresh straw, and with skilled hands and unified hearts, they would raise a new church on the footprint of the old one. This process of rebuilding wasn't a chore. It was an integral part of their worship. It was a year-long prayer made manifest through labor. Every nail hammered, every beam raised, was an act of devotion, strengthening not just the structure, but the bonds of the community itself. Their church wasn't just a place they went to on Sundays. It was a living part of them, something they poured their collective soul into, year after year. This extraordinary tradition forces us to question our own understanding of permanence and devotion. In our modern world, we strive to build things that last forever. Skyscrapers, monuments, legacies set in stone. We see destruction as failure, as loss. But this community teaches us a different lesson. They understood that true faith isn't found in a static object, no matter how beautiful or grand. It's found in the process, in the cycle, in the unwavering commitment to begin again. Their church was more alive than any stone cathedral because it was in a constant state of becoming. It breathed with the seasons and with the spirit of its people. The burning was not destruction. It was the purest, most profound expression of their belief in resurrection and renewal. It was a reminder that sometimes, to truly create, you must first be willing to let go. The most sacred things aren't those that are untouchable, but those that can be consumed by fire and still rise again, stronger and more meaningful than before. This story of the church that burned by design is a powerful allegory for our own lives. We all carry burdens, mistakes, and old versions of ourselves that no longer serve us. We often cling to them, afraid of the emptiness that letting go might leave behind. But perhaps we can learn from this forgotten tradition. Perhaps we need our own symbolic fires, moments of conscious release where we allow the old to burn away to make space for the new. Destruction doesn't always have to be a negative force. When done with intention, it can be the most powerful catalyst for growth, a cleansing ritual that allows our truest, most resilient selves to be rebuilt from the ashes. It's a weirdly forgotten piece of wisdom, reminding us that the most enduring faith is not one that resists change, but one that embraces the beautiful, terrifying, and necessary cycle of fire and rebirth. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the heart of a truly fascinating tradition. If you enjoyed this exploration of weirdly forgotten history, please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you won't miss our next adventure into the strange and surprising corners of the past. I'm Ripon, and this has been Weirdly Forgotten.